Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Hertz, and I'm the director of the Regional Entrepreneurship Center, the Rec Innovation Lab at San Diego Miramar College. And I'd like to thank our partners at this time and give a special thanks to SDSU's Lavin Center, the SDSU Zip Launchpad. We'd like to thank the California Entrepreneurship Educators Conference. Also like to thank Harness, the Brink SBDC at USD, San Diego Unified Schools. We'd also like to thank School of Entrepreneurship and Technology, High Tech High, the Regional Advisory Committee, Alex Waters at the Jacobs Center, Connect All, 21IQ Labs, Startup Quest, Productified. I'd like to thank Course Key and Tech Coast Angels. Thank you to Village Up, City Heights Development Corporation, San Diego Angel Conference, Startup San Diego, SBDC, SCORE San Diego, We Are Kingdom, New Media Rights, San Diego Tech Hub, Origin 63, Ambrosio 15, OmniSync, Optima Office, Proven Recruiting, Craft Leadership, GS&L Consulting. Thank you to all of our partners. We couldn't do what we do without you. Thank you.
So we are here today for the Rec Innovation Lab, partnered with 21IQ Labs workshop on servant leadership. And I'm gonna pass it off to Vianney to introduce our esteemed guest for today.
Hi, everyone. We have Chakri here with us today. Chakri is a PMO professional and a digital transformation expert and helped several clients in implementing mission-critical enterprise software systems and cutting millions in IT expenses that further helped drive business innovation and accelerate business growth in addition to gaining competitive edge. Chakri considered himself a people's person and searched for ways to provide the best outcome to his customers and further motivating his team to embrace the concept of putting the customer ahead of everything else. He was introduced to the concept of servant leadership when he was volunteering with Project Management Institute and immediately recognized that this aligns with his way of working. He further enrolled into the Leadership Institute Masterclass that dived deep into the concepts and application of servant leadership. He made it a mission to not only practice servant leadership himself, but to educate various groups on how you can leverage this in your professional and personal environments. Chakri will be introducing the concept of servant leadership and passing it off to him. Chakri, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, just before he starts, I just want to say that bio does not do him justice. He has his hands in so many other projects and so many other things. He's helped companies that are worth multi-millions of dollars, up to $90 million. And he's worked with all of them, ranging from stuff like IT to just anything with it. It's so impressive, Chakri, about everything you've done. The first thing that he wanted us to do, though, is we placed a poll into chat. If you can just please take that poll before we get started, and then I'll pass it off to Chakri. Thank you so much for coming today.
Very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Stephen and Vianney. It's so flattering. Hope you guys are able to see my screen.
Looks good. Okay,
great. Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, and really appreciate the folks that joined today. I know as entrepreneurs, your time is very valuable, and I want to make sure that I make best use of that resource. So let's jump straight into the servant leadership as we try to find out what exactly is servant leadership and how it is going to help you as an entrepreneur, and how to identify the various elements of servant leadership, not only as an entrepreneur, but in your life or personal setting as well. And we'll try to make this very interactive. Like Stephen said, there is a poll. So if you don't mind providing some inputs to that on what comes to your mind when you think of servant leadership, that'll make it really interactive. And as we get to know a little more about the servant leadership and how you can really express yourself and make a difference, towards the end, we will also identify a couple of areas where we want to improvise ourselves. So let's jump straight into this. Wow, looks like there are quite a few inputs to the survey already. Hope nobody is having any trouble getting into this survey here. All you need to do is just go to slido.com, and there should be a place where you enter the code, which is 48245. So yeah, looks like there's already good amount of responses here. Helping your team members as a leader, leadership for your employees, compassionate leadership, listening, being practical, being involved, being supportive, selfless, listening, leadership for employees, people-centric. Wow, I mean, I feel like my job is half done. I think you guys are very much in line with all the elements and expressions of servant leadership, and I think that's what true leadership is about as an entrepreneur, right? Keeping your employees and stakeholders front and center, and putting people ahead of anything else. That's your priority, right? So that's servant leadership. Thank you. I appreciate all the inputs here. Let's dive a little deeper on on some of these here, and you'll see how it aligns with some of the elements that were defined from a leadership and a philosophy standpoint. So I know I kept saying that this is about life and leadership, and essentially the way to look at this is it's a mindset, right? It is about how you perceive things, and a lot of you have already expressed that it is about people. It is about how you
I think we might have lost him for a second. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. It looks like there's some connection problems. Sorry about that, everybody. It looks like we are having some connection problems right now. But as Chakri was saying, I'm sure many of you already know what servant leadership is from your various different entrepreneurship classes, just from learning about it in general. And I think Chakri is gonna talk more about how it can relate to life rather than just as something you just learn in school. So that's something.
My apologies, Stephen. Are you guys able to hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you now. No problem.
Okay, really sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you cut out right when you were talking about how servant leadership is a philosophy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for filling me in there. Yeah. So just a little bit of history on how this came into being. Robert Greenleaf is supposed to be the person that really brought this forward, right? And this was being practiced in some shape or form, but he really popularized this by coming up with several ways of spreading the word on this one. And really, like all of you said, it's about this feeling to serve others before being served. And it's not only the mindset, but it's also the choice, right? It's a conscious choice. And that's how you lead as a leader. That's the essence of being a servant leader. So that's a great book, by the way. I know we talked about this being people-centered approach. Let me skim through this as well. So as entrepreneurs, we work quite a bit with your customers and your team, and you need to think constantly about the needs and the growth and the development aspects. So let's see what it actually means to be a servant leader, right? So it's about empathy, how you listen, and how you're authentic. So essentially, empathy, I'm pretty sure it's not new to entrepreneurs here, but it's always good to remind ourselves that we are here to solve the customer's problems. And the best way to do that is to think from their perspective, right? And as entrepreneurs, you also work with your employees to get things accomplished. So you also need to put yourself in their perspective to see how you can leverage their expertise to get to your goal. A great quote from Southwest: without a heart, it's just a machine, right? Think about it, right? Southwest is in the business of transporting people, not aircrafts. This is how they put people ahead of their way of doing business with aircrafts. And this is again famous quote, right? As human beings, we feel first and then think later. That's rightly said by Maya Angelou here, right? People will always remember how you made them feel. So that's about empathy. Now let's move on to the listening aspect of it. And as entrepreneurs, you probably already recognize the value of active listening. It's hard with so many different things to do as an entrepreneur, multitasking and number of different goals that you need to chase. It's not easy, right? But on the flip side, if you don't do that, if you don't actively listen to the customer and to your stakeholders, there is a lot at stake. So as per International Data Corporation, $37 billion is the amount that they put on different areas where employees misunderstood, customers misunderstood, and ended up doing something that was not intended. So this is such a waste, right? So listening sounds easy, but not simple. And as you can see from here, as human beings, we communicate in different ways, right? Although listening amounts to 45% of what we do in communicating, we can still do better, right? We can actively listen, we can be present, we can focus better by actively listening. This is again another set of words by Robert Greenleaf, that no matter how good you are at communication, there's always ways to improvise, right? By improving our learning skills, listening skills. Sorry. This is a great quote that is always on the back of my mind. When we have a conversation, we always try to respond rather than understanding the other person. So if we flip that and try to understand, it'll make a world of difference. Now again, authenticity. What exactly does this mean, right? So as an entrepreneur, you bring in certain values to your business venture. And as a person, you have this personality that contributes to the problem that you're trying to solve. And you also bring in your intention, right? What are you trying to accomplish? And then that together with the way it manifests into actions is in alignment with your values and intentions. So really authenticity is at the intersection of what you bring to the table and how you manifest it. And it always shows up, right? Authenticity, it reflects in what you do. And it really echoes in your way of doing things, whether it is your product design or go-to-market strategy or differentiation and your value proposition. So all of this reflects your authenticity. The more authentic you are, the more differentiated your product or service is from your competitors. So really, this carries you through your day-to-day routine, right? How authentic you are and what you're proud of to continue doing the same thing the next day as well. So essentially what differentiates servant leaders from others is being good at empathy, listening, and being authentic. So that's what really makes a world of difference between a successful entrepreneur and not so successful entrepreneur.
I have a question, Chakri. When you say authentic, how can you, I know that since we're virtual online, it's people probably forgot how to interact with people in real life now, but how can you tell when someone's being authentic versus when they're not being, even if it's just, what if they're like really practiced at being not authentic, you know? Is there like, do you have any suggestions on how to see if someone's being like true to their heart or rather than being like robotic?
It's a great question, right? I mean, so the three elements, your values, your intentions, and the intersection of how it manifests, I think that's the key. And again, it goes back to how you feel when you interact with people. You would have a sense of whether it is authentic or not. And as entrepreneurs, I know it's not easy. I mean, it's you build the trust over a period of time. And sometimes you just learn by making mistakes. You may not be really right the first time, but you will know how to spot not so authentic aspects from really authentic ones. So, I mean, it's experimentation. I know, I mean, one of the mantra for entrepreneurs is fail fast and just learn from your mistakes. So yeah, it's not easy to spot authenticity, but as long as you're embracing that yourself, believe me, I think it is an infectious trait to have. You're going to really I guess, spread that authentic nature of yours and ensure that the other person is authentic as well. I'm not saying that it's going to work 100%, but definitely something that that's going to help you develop a period of time.
So basically you're saying if you are authentic yourself, then you'll draw other people in who are also authentic because they can see that you're also authentic compared to everybody else.
Absolutely. Yeah, that definitely helps. But great question. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Okay. So we just talked about what really differentiates the servant leader and as a leadership philosophy, how different is servant leadership from some of the other leaderships you may have heard of. I mean, these are all simple things, right? But not easy to implement. Let's talk about how you can actually practically implement some of these principles here, right? How can you ensure that you're empathetic? How can you listen more? How can you be authentic, right? And think we can do that by going through some of these expressions here. So as servant leaders, it's imperative that we have to embrace more of we and less of me. So it is, like I said, a mindset where you are thinking about your customers, your stakeholders, and essentially the people. And I've said this multiple times because this is the central component of servant leadership. You don't think about your competitors. You don't think about, I mean, technology is important, but you are really making a difference by thinking about people and putting them front and center. Famous quotes again here. If you want to go far together, if you want to go fast, just go alone, right? That's the mindset. So really, as you take decisions as a part of your business, just think of your actions, right? And see whether they are people-centric or not. Amazon, for example, is known to be highly customer obsessive, right? They don't think about their competition. They don't think about anything else. They just think about the long-term value that they bring to their customers, right? And I think simple things like paying attention to your vocabulary will make a lot of difference, right? If you start saying we and us and include your team instead of yourself, I think your mindset is going to be much more inclusive of your team rather than the other way. And then the second thing is investing in the development of people. As entrepreneurs, I know how hard it is to get the right people in for your business, whether it is a skill set that you're looking for, whether it is the fit that you're looking for. It's not easy, right? And there are challenges like what Richard Branson is saying here, right? Most companies face with this issue. I mean, you train your people, but it is a paradox there. But what if they get trained and they leave for better opportunities? What he's saying is that won't happen. You train your people, but at the same time, treat them well enough. that they want to stick with your organization rather than moving on. Right, so such a simple thing, but it's just hard. So really the takeaway from this is that you need to know more about your resources, your stakeholders, your employees, what they're aspiring of, and provide them the opportunities. This may not be new for you, but really I think this is going to be helpful as you coach and mentor them and build that bridge of trust and create that environment of learning for your people. And then this is another important expression. And again, this is not a very difficult one, but I mean, in the daily grunt of things, I know we forget that there are really ways to give credit and accept responsibility just by being aware of it, right? Simple things like sharing the accomplishment and really elevating the way things got resolved in a day, in a week, in a month, right? There are so many simple things that you can highlight. And being there for your team, right? You again build that great working relation by being there all the time. And then taking this collective responsibility, right? I think that's going to be a positive reinforcement for the team to bond and then just perform better as a team. And then moving on, as an entrepreneur, you don't need to be the lone warrior to accomplish your goal. You can share the power, you can share the information and enable others to really empower the whole organization, right? As long as you create this trust circle back and forth and provide them the right knowledge and the resources, it's going to be multiple resources that can help you accomplish your goal with a shared vision, right? So that's essentially how you can ensure that you reach your goal faster, maybe with this. And then I know I talked enough about listening and listening with the intent of understanding and not necessarily for responding, right? I mean, we do need to respond, don't get me wrong, but it's take your time in really trying to understand the other person and this is again, I think something that I've learned over a period of time, right? To value the inputs and opinions of others. And as entrepreneurs, I'm pretty sure you're working through different methodologies like personas or mind mapping and empathy mapping and things like that. And this just reinforces the how much value other people bring to this, and the environment itself, right? The organizations that are able to create forums and venues that can enable this feedback loop are going to really benefit because they're getting this constant feedback, right? And as entrepreneurs, it's going to make a lot of difference, right? what comes to my mind is, I don't know if you guys remember back when BlackBerry was really at crossroads when Apple came up with iPhone, right? BlackBerry had this QWERTY keyboard while Apple just got started with touch input. BlackBerry really ignored the input, right? They kept saying that this is going to stay, and the leadership kept saying that this is what the business world is going to embrace, but they were proven completely wrong. Apple, on the other hand, made increment.
Chakri, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. Are you guys able to hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. So that really comes to mind when I think of valuing the inputs and opinions, right? So as an entrepreneur, it's not easy to be really listening and making that part of your strategy, but that's the kind of inputs that you need. And then prioritizing the practice of presence. I mean, this is so important again in this day and age of social media and different distractions that we have between personal, professional, community. How do you make sure that you give your complete attention to what you're doing, right? I guess there's one thing that you can do is be mindful and just be present all the time. Pay attention to your own body language, right? And when you're talking to somebody, it matters that you're looking them straight in the eye and just give them your complete attention. It makes a lot of difference. And like Steven said, it's not easy in this remote world. I think it's an entirely different dynamic of getting things done. And I think we are probably evolving to more of a hybrid presence now. So it is more important than ever to really give your attention and at the same time seek the attention. I think it compels the other person to give you full attention if you are doing your part in this. Small acts, right? I mean, it's every achievement is great as entrepreneurs. I know you're trying to solve the biggest problem, but at the same time, you're making incremental gains. Your team is making these incremental gains. So it is really important for you to highlight those and be encouraging of the team. So just a quick recap. It's more of we and less of me, right? So it is about the team and having that shared vision and having others help you go forward as well. In addition to just being you as a leader, right? Enabling and empowering others. And then investing in your team and really creating that circle of trust with your team and also with your customers. As servant leaders, we should be giving we should be accepting the responsibility more often, right? And I think this is in the business world. I know it's easy to really point fingers at others, but I mean, how much of a mishap is due to me rather than the other person, right? So it's not an easy concept, but this is something a servant leader can get better at over a period of time. And again, sharing information and power with the whole purpose of empowering others and making them your allies in the success. Talk last, right? I think that's a great form of communication as well. You're listening, you're using your great skill of really making sense and interpreting the other person the way that they want to be interpreted and the way it makes the best sense for the task or goal that you're trying to accomplish. And then there are a number of distractions, right? How do you really prioritize being present at that time over everything else? I mean, I'm not saying that you don't multitask, but it's the balance on how you prioritize the number one thing in your list of things to do. And then highlighting those small acts, small achievements, right? So that's going to be really important as you're making progress in your venture as an entrepreneur. I think I've said enough. So I want to put the focus on you guys now and see if you would like to really embrace any of these expressions and would like to improvise on these going forward. The same survey should take you to slido.com and type in this number, and I know some of you are already providing the inputs there. Just one expression, if you can choose, and just keep getting better at it. I know we can't just eat the apple all by itself. It has to be bite by bite. So whether it is just being present or just celebrating small things or giving credit to others and accepting responsibility, listening intently and embracing, and just, I mean, in your communication, just use more of we. In your meetings, just keep saying more of we, right? And then come up with a plan on how you are going to train your people, right? I mean, a plan and then something to execute it. So that's a great starting point. How do you share information? As entrepreneurs, I know it's not easy to really share a lot of your secret sauce, but I mean, keeping it in confines of what can be shared and what you need to enable your team members, make sure that the information is readily available. So looks like a number of you are really intent on prioritizing being present, and I think that's a great expression to choose, and it's really relevant for an entrepreneur, not only for the entrepreneur, but also for the current day and age that we are in, right? and it really encompasses a lot of things that mean servant leadership.
Yeah, I know for me personally, prioritizing being present, that's the one I chose, is one of the important things I want to focus on, because growing up in the modern era, like you said, it's different. There's so many distractions people can have right now. People can have their phones out while they're talking to you. People can be thinking of different things. It's just like the era of instant gratification. So if you're like trying to listen to somebody, you're like, oh, they're not giving me what I want right now. So you tend to be distracted. I know that's something I'm personally working harder on.
Great. Yeah. Thank you for that, Stephen. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Chakri. So there's definitely room in my business, in our business. I see to listen to more customer feedback and just sort of make the whole thing about customer feedback, about customers building the app as well. How would someone pivot to more doing that than just sort of trying to build it themselves?
Absolutely. That's a great question. That's Ben Brin, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And you know, I mean, there's a lot of difference in my mind of building for the customer and building with the customer, right? And I think, I mean, if you can have a small focus group with your customers, I think that's going to be a great way to listen to your customers, right? I mean, you don't need the entire set of customers. As long as you have the right representation of a cross section of your customers, it's going to do wonders. That's what I have seen from my experience. I'm pretty sure there are different ways to achieve that, but I mean, as long as you are building with the customer, I think that's the key.
Great. Thank you, Chakri.
Yeah, thank you. A great question. Not sure if we have any other questions.
I'd like to ask a question you. First, thank you for this great presentation. And what is the best tip that you can say when there are some kind of conflict of ideas? So you have a team and you have amazing ideas from different people and lots of conflict, for instance.
Absolutely, great question again, and something that I deal with all the time in my projects and whatever I do, right? I think it goes back to the problem that you're trying to solve, right? So that's your top-down approach right there. As long as you're true to your goal and try to really align what you're doing every day with your goal, and make sure that you're not deviating from it, I think you'll be fine. And I think you need to also make it an issue-based resolution versus a personality-based, right? Because that is where I've seen a lot of gains. I mean, as long as you're keeping your goal front and center, as long as you're keeping, again, your customer and the problem that you're trying to solve front and center, it's not, I mean, it's not easy, but it's not that difficult as well to get to the right way of doing things, although you have conflicting ideas and conflicting views of doing things. I hope that answers, Felipe.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah, great question.
Do you want to open it up to questions now, Chakri? I wasn't sure if you were finished with your
Yeah,
presentation.
I know. I just have a couple of more slides. Let me wrap up. I should only take another couple of minutes here.
Perfect, thank you.
And this is a great quote here again, right? Practice is what makes us perfect, right? And the expressions that I just went over, I'm not an expert on that. And I keep making mistakes. But the key is to reinforce that and just keep it in the back of your mind all the time. There's only so much that you can fake, right? And we can all be better by practicing and creating this environment of trust. And that's going to make wonders, right? I mean, not everybody can build an Amazon, but we can definitely take some leadership principles and philosophies from it. And I think a lot of servant leadership philosophy matches with, I would say, what Amazon embraces as leadership principles. So, and that's why they're successful. I don't know, I think they're probably like 1 million people right now, close to. And I'm pretty sure you guys have your favorite books out there, but pretty sure most of you have heard about Simon Sinek. Start with the why. And I think the question that Philippi just asked, I think about alignment and conflict, I think start with why is going to help tremendously with that. And then this book by Adam Grant, Think Again, it just came into the market, I believe, in February. Great book. I think it really asks us to be flexible. And if there is one thing that as entrepreneurs that you want to remember, it is the ability to be agile and to think on your feet, right? To progressively repurpose, realign your ideas. I mean, I'm not saying that you should pivot frequently, but at the same time, just be alert, just be aware of everything around you, and just keep your options and ideas open all the time. That's what I think that Adam Grant is trying to say here. Designing for growth, boy, this is a great tool for, I mean, this is a great book. Gives you a practical set of, I would say, framework or a methodology of problem solving. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys had heard of wicked problems, right? And these are the problems that do not have a straightforward solution. I mean, a wicked problem that we all are facing with is COVID, right? I mean, and yet there have been ways to overcome it, or we are overcoming it. And environmental issue is another wicked problem, right? I mean, we don't need to think about big wicked problems, but I'm pretty sure in your entrepreneurship journey, there are problems that you don't see solutions for. Gene and Tim really break that down in this book on how as an entrepreneur or how as a business manager, you can try to break things down. You don't need to really reinvent the wheel. You can just follow their methodology or framework. Leadership Challenge by Jim and Barry. Boy, I mean, this is a great book on servant leadership. They provide a ton of examples on servant leadership. Favorite book, I've read this multiple times. So really a great book there. Servant Leadership in Action. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of Glenn Bankert. Marshall Goldsmith's What Got You Here Won't Get You There. How Successful People Become Ever More Successful. Boy, again, great book. Marshall Goldsmith, I believe, is based in San Diego. I actually attended one of his seminars way back. Great guy. And as entrepreneurs, I mean, you'll realize that there is a lot that you can do, and how you can be more successful than what you are already, and how you can differentiate yourself. So just a few examples here, okay? I mean, if you want to discuss more, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to discuss a little more on that. It's my favorite topic. And then I want to thank 21IQ Labs and Direct for providing me this opportunity to speak with all of you. I wish you guys all the best as you're trying to bring your product or service to the market. I think you guys are in great hands with Rec. I'm really impressed with what they have done in just an year, and the amount of difference that they're making in the San Diego startup community. So really impressive. Thank you. That's all I have. And let's see if you guys have any questions that I can answer today.
Thank you so much, Chakri. I know your words mean a lot to us, and we appreciate all of the help that 21IQ Labs has provided us as well. So I know Vivek's in the room somewhere. So thank you, Vivek, for connecting us and having Chakri come here to talk about servant leadership. If there's any questions, does anybody want to speak up? Ben, did you have another question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, sure. What is the first thing that someone can do becoming a better leader, being a better leader other than reading a book or something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, great question, Ben. You know, as entrepreneur, I think it's really going to be critical to get the feedback from the customer, right? So I would say empathy is really going to make you wonders if you start practicing that, because this is a way to really get into the shoes of your customer and look at your product or service from their standpoint. So how is, let's say, iPhone being used by the customer, right? I mean, it's not just another technological innovation. It is something that's making a difference to a lot of people by enabling communication, right? So, and you can do that by really getting into their mind, so to say. But I think, to me, I think that's really front and center. That is what I would start with if I were you. But there are, I mean, the other ways are good as well. I mean, there is low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, there are several expressions. Like I said, you can start by just enabling your team. You can start by just celebrating each and every small goal that your team has accomplished. You can start with anything. But to me, I think front and center is going to be empathy. Hope that that is helpful, Ben.
Great. Thank you, Chakri. That was very helpful. Very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chakri. Does anybody have any other questions? If we don't have any other questions, I think we'll hand it off to Chakri. Do you have anything you want to leave us off with before we end the workshop?
No, I mean, all I would like to say is that just pick one of the expressions and just keep practicing it. I think it's going to make a difference as an entrepreneur, and I think it's going to make wonders not only as an entrepreneur but also in your community and personal aspects as well. So, but thank you. Appreciate the opportunity, and good luck to everybody.
Thank you, Chakri. Thank you,
Thank you
everybody,
so
for
much,
coming.
Chakri.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.